My name is Nadia, and you're watching a Cozy Knitting Corner. This is a knitting podcast where I share and talk about all my love for knitting and yarn. Welcome. This is my first episode in English. Usually I do this in Danish on another podcast channel. But I decided to try it out in English so that more of you English-speaking people worldwide can watch and enjoy my knitting journey. This first episode, it's not gonna be all about my finished objects and whips and yarn acquisitions. It's more gonna be like a telling of who I am and how it all started and what I'm knitting on and what you can expect for this channel. Yeah, as I said, my name is Nadia. I'm a Danish knitter, live in Denmark. For those of you who doesn't know where Denmark is, it's a part of Scandinavia, just below Norway and Sweden and on top of Germany. So it's a European country. I have been knitting for the last 13 years. Excuse my English. I'm not usually talking English. I do it sometimes at work, but if I miss a word or I pronounce a word incorrectly, I'm sorry for that. I have been knitting for the last 13 years. I know that because my daughter is 13 years now. I started knitting when she was born. The first thing I knitted was a pair of baby boots. Then I knitted a lot of baby garments, baby toys, baby blankets, hats, socks. 4 years later, I had a son, and at that time I have already started crocheting. The knitting I was taught in a little knitting club. We were 4, 5, 6 people, and I learned to knit, and all the other things I have learned from YouTube. But I learned the right and wrong stitches. Yeah, the crocheting I also learned from YouTube. So I cannot read a crochet pattern unless it's written in language. I don't understand the diagrams in crocheting. I understand the knitting diagrams, they're a little different. And I have crocheted baby blankets and baby toys. Also a little cardigan. But at that time, when my son was born in 2014, I have still not yet even thought about knitting garments for myself. And when did I do that? Well, I think when Corona came, I had a lot more knitting time, and I was a lot of YouTube searching for technique videos and stuff like that. And maybe YouTube just assumed I would like to see a knitting podcast, because suddenly I was watching one. I haven't searched for one because I did not know there was such a thing as a knitting podcast. So I was suggested a Danish knitting podcast, and I watched that and all of her other videos. She was showing a lot of baby stuff. She had a little daughter, and I thought that was cozy. And then I started searching for knitting podcast and found a lot. And at that time, I think I was, seeing all the stuff they were knitting for themselves, garments for people like me, ego knits. So it was still Corona, and I was on holiday, summer holiday, with my little sister, and I cast on for the Petite Knit vertical stripes, I think it's called in English. And it was 2020, summer, and I cast on my first ego knit. And it was not finished until last year, 2022. So it took me 2 years, and it didn't take me 2 years because I did not, because I'm a slow knitter. It took me 2 years because I wasn't knitting on it all the time. Actually, that was not my first ego knit, because the yarn I used was from another project that I have frogged, a test knitting. I don't even recall the pattern, but something with a lily, a flower. It was too tight fitting, not suited. It did not suit me. So I unraveled that, and the yarn was perfect for the vertical stripes from Petite Knit. I played a little yarn chicken, but I made it. Yeah, I can show you a picture of it here. It's almost the only finished garment for myself that I use, that I like, that I don't think is misfitting. But it took me 2 years knitting that, and in between I knitted a design from, also a test knit from a designer called Vesterby Crea. It has a number. All of her designs has a number. I cannot recall the number, but I can put it on the screen. It's an oversized sweater with 4 strands, I think, of mohair, and I knitted that. I started in the first, as a 2021, in the start of the year, and I finished it 4 or 6 weeks later because it was a test knit. I'm not using that one. It's too oversized, and when oversized garments just seems to flap on me, it's not tight around the waist or the hips. I don't like that. It's like it's too big in the back. It's too much fabric. Also, the arms were too tight, not too tight, too big. That's something I can, modify as I go. But even if there's a rib on the oversized hem, is it called a hem? I think it's too loose fitting. So I think I need something more tight fitting. So I'm not using that one, besides from home once in a while. Then I have knitted 2 wraparounds for not me, one as a present and another one as a gift knit. You cannot tell that. She asked if I would knit one, and I did. So that was not for me. Then I have knitted the April cardigan from Petite Knit also. It has never received its buttons yet. I haven't sewn in the buttons, but I use it, and it fits me, and it's cropped, and I like it. It's not gonna sit like an oversized sweater. It's a fitted cardigan. So I used that one. That's 2 designs from Petite Knit that I actually use. Well, what have I have not knitted for myself. I'm right now knitting on a project. It's called a June sweater. I can see now the body is finished, and I'm knitting on the sleeve, and it's not gonna fit me. It's too big around the area where the body is ending the hem. It's too big, it's too loose. I need it to be more fitted, but I don't want it to be totally tight. So yeah, I have a job, you can call it, finding out what is the right design for me. So this knitting podcast is also gonna be a journey for me to find the perfect shape or fit for a ego garment. Is selfish knitting. I want to knit more garments for myself, but I'm also wanting to use them, so not just to lay it in the cabinet and then stuck it away. So what am I knitting on then? Because I am knitting a lot, and on this channel you will find me sharing my love for knitting socks. Socks is a little easy project. You can buy the most beautiful hand-dyed yarn, and you can buy a lot of commercial yarn, also beautiful, and you have a quick project, and there's nothing wrong with socks and a lot of colors and a lot of stripy ones and all that, and different motifs and different structure, patterns and all that stuff. So socks, that's for me. So this channel will show a lot of socks besides my journey towards the perfect knitted garment for myself. Then I knit shawls and other small stuff in between. Yeah, I think that is about it. That is where I am in my knitting journey, and that is the way I'm going. So I hope you would enjoy and watch more and see where it all ends. And also, please, if you have a pattern suggestion, give me write it to me in the comments. I would love to hear. Then let me tell a little about myself. I told you I'm from Denmark. I'm a Danish knitter. My name is Nadia. I live here with my family, my husband and our 2 kids. I already told you. I have a daughter, she's 13, and I have a son, he's 9. We have a little dog, he's 5 months old, and we have a cat also, he's 1 year old. Normal family of 5, living in a house. What else can I tell you? I'm 42 years old, working full-time job or almost full-time job, besides knitting and taking care of my family. Here comes the dog. This is the puppy. His name is Carlo, 5 months old. We got him in summer. He's from the May 2nd of May this year. He's the most sweet little puppy you can imagine. I think this might be it for the first episode. It's a short one. It's one where I tell you all about who I am and but a little bit about who I am and what I'm knitting on. And first time viewers can always go back and see this. I don't know when I will record the next episode, but soon I think. That was it for me, for my introduction. I hope you like what you see in the following episodes. And one more thing. This community, this knitting community, I just find it so giving. I follow a lot of not only Danish knitting podcasts, but also English-speaking knitting podcasts. And I think it's just a nice place to be, and we care and we help each other. And actually back in 2020 when Corona came, and I had been knitting for many years at that point, but it was at that point you had more time at home, and then you searched the internet, or I did at least. And at that time my Instagram account, you can find me on Instagram, I'm called Nadia Vind. I'll write it on the screen also. Please follow me there if you want to see more. At that time, 2020, my Instagram account was not only knitting, it was a lot of other stuff going on in my life, like puppies and flowers and gardens and stuff like that, baking. I've separated those 2 things, so now I have a knitting podcast called Nadia Vind, and I have a Instagram, sorry, and I have another one for all the other life stuff. That one you can also follow. You can find the link in my Nadia Vind account. So I liked a lot of photos and I shared a lot of knitting. And by using hashtags, you grow, you reach followers, you see other people. You can search the hashtags for recipes, patterns, it's called patterns, for patterns. You want to see them, and that way you can like more photos. And I just think that Instagram is a big inspiration for me. I use it a lot. I don't use Ravelry for searching patterns. I really have enough in Instagram. All the things I see there, it's enough. So I use Ravelry, and I'm also called Nadia Vind in there. I use it for updating my own progress. So my knitting projects and yarn I use, and if I do modifications, I write it. I write in Danish, so if you have any questions, please ask. I would love to share them with you in English also. That was it from me for now in English. Talk to you soon. Bye.